Okay, whoa, all right. We're cooking. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, hello everybody. We are about 5 minutes out from starting. Hopefully, we'll be in good shape here by then. Okay.
Jeff, I'll be doing the invocation and she's going to do the benediction.
Yes, I have those here.
All I have is on the phone, so I can just read it on the phone.
We got here.
Oh, you already have it right here. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Should I just leave what they are now? Leave what they are.
Big news in our world is our 26-foot truck rolled car driveway. All of my daughter's
Okay, welcome everyone to the Cuyahoga County Soldiers and Sailors Monument, and thank you very much for bearing with us as we move from our inside ceremony where we marked the moments this morning of our tragic day 24 years ago to our outside program. We're glad that you could join us today. Thank you very much to our presenters and to those on the dais for putting up with me running around and dealing with AV equipment while we were trying to get settled. I get often asked why we have a 9/11 ceremony at a Civil War monument. We are the county's Civil War monument that was erected by these men about a generation after the Civil War. We honor 9,000 names inside of men who served just from Cuyahoga County in the Civil War. Those men came together in a group to decide that they were going to build this building on Cleveland's Public Square. They wanted it to be a monument to service, not just to those lost, but to those who served valiantly and then came back and built the community in which we live. They strived to build this great city, and they were the ones who developed all of these different things that we take for granted today, like this monument on Public Square. So as a monument to service, it became obvious to us that September 11th is about much more than just the tragedy. Just as the Civil War is much more, this monument is much more about just the tragedy of the Civil War, but also to those who served, and certainly those who served in that subsequent 20-year war on terror. So today we hold this ceremony where we honor not only those we've lost on that tragic day 24 years ago, but also those who served, who answered the call, who ran into towers that were on fire and eventually collapsed, running into their recruiting office and joining the military and going off to wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, where they continued to pursue those who attacked us on 9/11. I would like to start today with the presentation of colors by our Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department, followed by the national anthem performed by Sonia Carroll. If you'll please rise.
Then we have the national anthem. Please stand. Arms. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. If you'll please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recover. Future. Rise. Fight. A word. Fight.
Thank you. If you'll stay standing, we have our invocation. A little change to our schedule here. We're going to switch our presenters, so we'll have U.S. Marine Corps veteran and chaplain of the Willoughby Cleveland Elks, number 18, Kirk Kokel, for our invocation.
On this day, we gather as a community, as a nation, and as one people to remember the tragedy of September 11th, 2001. We recall the nearly 3,000 lives cut short. Innocent men, women, children of many faiths and backgrounds who perished in New York, at the Pentagon, in a quiet Pennsylvania field. We remember the courage of first responders who ran towards danger, the unity that bound us together in grief, and quiet strength of families who have carried loss through these many years. May this act of remembrance honor the lives and renew in us the spirit of unity that emerged from the ashes of that day. May our gathering be a testament that light endures beyond darkness and hope beyond sorrow. Amen.
Thank you, Kirk. You may be seated. At this time, I encourage you to reflect on the events of September 11th, 2001. We will be presenting wreaths for each of the flights that were hijacked on that day, as well as wreath to our first responders. But there is so much more to the story than just those. Remember, as we place these wreaths, that it's not only to those lost in the planes, but those lost in the towers, those lost that were running into the towers to save those that they could, and those left behind, whose fathers and mothers would never come home that day. We begin with Flight 11, presented by former Executive Director of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, Tim Daly. Tim is being escorted by our Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department, and we thank them for their service and participation. When Flight 11 hit the towers, we all thought this may be just another horrible tragedy. It roused us from our morning slumber, from our morning routine of going to work on a beautiful day just like this, not a cloud in the sky, calm, lovely fall weather. And we entered our offices and we dealt with that email from yesterday and getting our coffee, situating our desk. Some of us in the West Coast weren't even awake yet. Suddenly we were glued to our television sets as we watched that smoke billow. It was then that we realized the world would change forever. Presenting a wreath for Flight 175, Rhonda Kokel. This was no accident. As Flight 175 struck the South Tower, we knew that this was coordinated. We knew that there might be more to come, and we were all in shock. The skies cleared. The flights all landed, all but two. Flight 77, Flight 77's wreath will be presented by Renee Shimko. Flight 77 would crash into the Pentagon. Flight 77 did not fully make its mark, likely because the passengers had realized what was happening and tried to retake the plane. This is something we know for certain happened on Flight 93. As Flight 77 was crashing into the Pentagon, Flight 93 was making its turn right over Cleveland. We looked up as we saw just one plane in the sky, and that terror continued into Pennsylvania, where those passengers fought back, started to take the plane, took the cockpit, and drove that plane into the ground in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Presenting for Flight 93, Bonnie Palumbo. Over the next hour and a half, we watched as firefighter, police officer, EMS, and many more raced into the towers to try and save as many as they could. Those that had made their way out made their way back in to try and help their coworkers. And those that were at the tops of the towers were trapped. Those towers would collapse in the next hour and a half, sending debris all over the south end of New York, and the world would be changed forever. We remember those first responders lost on 9/11 with our first responders wreath, presented by Patrolman Gloria Mercado. This was not the end. This was just the beginning. The beginning of a 20-year war on terror, one that we still stand vigilantly against today. We present wreaths for our branches of military service, and we are honored to have our veterans with us today. Presenting for the Army, Elizabeth Schooley, SPC, Army veteran. Representing the Marine Corps, Gina Watson, Marine veteran. Representing the Navy, Alicia Emanuel, Navy veteran. Representing the Coast Guard, Melinda Nye, Navy veteran. And representing the Space Force, Leorna Porter, VDA. And now I'd like you to take a moment for reflection as we play Amazing Grace. Oh, forgot the Air Force. Oh, forgot the Air Force. I'm sorry. Sorry, what's your name? I don't have it written down here. Devontae Nate here for the Air Force. Presenting the Air Force. Thank you. I don't know how it got lost on my list. And now I ask you to please reflect on those lost, those who served, those who continue to serve, as we present Amazing Grace by the Marine Corps Band. I'd like to introduce you now Monument Commissioner Brigadier General Peter Collins, U.S. Marine Corps retired, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful day. I know you have Rear Admiral Park's bio in your programs, and that's pretty much what I was going to say about Rear Admiral Park. So I know you all can read, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I will tell you this. I've known Admiral Parks for several years. And you can tell a person by his character and who he is and how he represents himself. Mike Parks is a servant leader. On September 10th, he was on active duty leading the men and women of the Coast Guard of his command. As a result of his leadership, the Coast Guard was able to respond, and he continued to serve when new young men and women joined the services. He provided the leadership, the education, the guidance, the mentorship that still impacts the Coast Guard today. In 2013, Mike could have hung it up and retired. He could have put on his fuzzy slippers, sat in his easy boy chair in Bay Village, and just relaxed. But no, that's not Mike's personality. As you read in the bio, he's in charge of 6,000 people for Northern Ohio Red Cross. He just doesn't stop. So when it came time to find a guest speaker today, I knew I could find one by simply sending out an email. And Mike, as he has time and time again, jumped on the grenade and volunteered. One of these days he'll learn, but luckily for us, it wasn't today. So with that, it's my honor and privilege to introduce Rear Admiral Mike Parks, United States Coast Guard, retired.
Yeah, my fuzzy slippers. Well, thank you, General. Fuzzy slippers. I don't think I own any, but I know where to go if I need to borrow some. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It is an honor and a privilege to be with you today. Now, there are times in our lives where certain events are seared into our memories. Every generation has those dates. Our grandparents had the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, as President Franklin Roosevelt said, a day that will live on in infamy. Our parents spoke of where they were when they heard the news about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas on November 22nd, 1963. Our generation most likely recall where we were 24 years ago today on September 11th, 2001, when our nation was attacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists, resulting in almost 3,000 deaths when 4 aircraft crashed into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The morning of 9/11, I remember exactly where I was. I was in command of a Coast Guard cutter that was in a shipyard in Norfolk, Virginia. I was walking through the mess deck where the crew ate, and I saw a number of shipmates standing there watching TV. And I said, as most captains would, "Hey, what are you guys doing watching TV during the workday? Let's get to work." And Hay turned around and looked at me and said, "Captain, it's the news. It's happening right now." And I looked at the screen, and there was a plane flying into one of the Twin Towers. I stood there with them, and I was mesmerized as I looked at the TV and watched as a second plane flew into the second tower. It was at that point I knew we were under attack. Regrettably, there wasn't much we could do as a ship in a shipyard. We had just removed the anchors and started overhauling our main diesel engine. But that didn't stop the Coast Guard from springing into action. Around the country, every available cutter was deployed to support and defend 51 strategic ports in our nation. That went on for weeks and weeks. In New York City, the Coast Guard helped lead the largest civilian armada ever put together to help evacuate hundreds of thousands of people from lower Manhattan via water. You know, now with the American Red Cross, you can imagine that organization, what I consider the world's premier humanitarian organization, was busy that day as well. In the first 48 hours, the Red Cross activated 6,000 volunteers to support efforts. We here in Northern Ohio sent volunteers and staff over to help. The Red Cross opened 13 shelters, sent disaster mental health workers to assist those at airports, hospitals, and crash sites. The Red Cross blood donation line received 1 million calls that day. The previous record had been 3,000. One of our local Red Cross employees, Debbie Chittister, worked as a volunteer at a processing center in New York that operated 24 hours a day to help people who were looking for help. In New York City alone, the Red Cross processed 21,000 volunteers within 1 month. So, as it is everywhere in our country, your Red Cross was there on 9/11. Many people here in Cleveland remember that fateful day, not only because of the lives that were lost from people from this area, but also because the air traffic controllers from Cleveland were trying to engage Flight 93, which had departed Newark en route San Francisco. And before it was turned around by the hijackers, and it was headed to D.C. to purportedly strike the Capitol. Fortunately, as we just heard, those efforts were thwarted by the heroes of Flight 93 who stormed the cockpit, costing them their lives but saving countless others. I want to thank all of you for coming today and certainly express my appreciation to Greg Palumbo and the folks at the Soldiers and Sailors Monument for organizing this important event. It's critical that we never forget these significant emotional events in our nation's history. The real challenge for all of us is not to remember or to recognize or even to memorialize these events. The real challenge for each of us is how will these events change the way we conduct ourselves? Do they truly unite us? I recall a famous photograph on a street full of homes in a New York borough on September 10th. Not a single American flag was flying on their front porches. A similar picture was taken from the same vantage point on the same street on September 12th, 2001. Every single home on that street was flying their American flag. We were united. Tragedy, unfortunately, has a way of doing that. In the last few days, our nation has seen a number of horrific attacks, even here in Cleveland. We can ill afford to forget the lessons of 9/11 and the importance of how we treat each other. we have a perfect opportunity here in Cleveland, the home of Kindland, to make a personal commitment to treat each other with respect and kindness. It starts with each one of us, a personal commitment. We can make a difference, both individually and collectively. We must take these tragic events and use them to motivate us for good, to help others, to serve our fellow man, to uphold the values upon which this great nation was founded. Thank you for being here today as we memorialize this special occasion. I thank you even more for what we will do when we leave here and how we will treat and care about each other with respect and kindness. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Parks. As a former disaster action team member under Debbie Chittister, I have to say, the stories are amazing of what she went through, and we are lucky to have the American Red Cross that we do here in Cleveland. So I just want to say thank you and highlight that as well. Now I'd like to introduce Deputy Regional Director for Northeast Ohio from the office of Senator John Husted, Duncan McMillan, for his remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to be with you here today on behalf of U.S. Senator John Husted. Thank you to the vets who are here today. It's an honor to be in your presence. Thank you for your service to this nation. Thank you as well to the volunteers, to the organizers of this event, especially Greg Palumbo. What an important tradition to uphold here in Cleveland. I want to also thank, of course, Rear Admiral Parks for his important words as we reflect on today and its importance. This day is about remembering the loss and heroism of September 11th, 2001, but it is also about the strength and resilience of America. At a time of existential crisis, America and her people held firm in resolve and strong in their values. We can only hope that we may have that same strength and courage to continue the legacy of those we lost and continually strive to embody the heroism showed on this day just 24 years ago. We grieve with the families who lost loved ones on September 11th, commit to carrying on their legacy, and promise to never forget. Everyone in this nation was impacted by the events of September 11th, and Northeast Ohio was no different. Thank you to all of our first responders, our brave service members, and our local law enforcement for their continued service and protection of our community and great nation. God bless you all.
Aiden. I'd like to welcome Michelle Zykowski of the Willoughby Cleveland Elks to present our invocation. If you can please rise.
Let us close with words of resolve and peace, spirit of healing and hope. As we leave this place of remembrance, may we carry with us the lessons of September 11. Let us honor the fallen by how we live, with compassion for one another, with courage in the face of fear, and with unity that transcends division. May the memory of those we lost inspire us to reject hatred and choose peace. May the resilience shown in the face of tragedy continue to guide us as a people. And may we find strength in remembering, not only to mourn what was taken, but to cherish what endures. love, freedom, and the bonds that make us one nation under God. Go forth in peace and let remembrance be our guide. Amen.
We will close with the playing of taps, and a thank you to all of our presenters, uh, both civilian and military. Thank you to our Sheriff's Department for their assistance today as well. And thank you to those of you who joined us. We really appreciate you coming out for this ceremony. Thank you very much to Brigadier General Collins and Admiral Parks, and to Duncan from Senator Husted's office. We'll play the closing. We'll close with the playing of taps, and that will complete our ceremony. And now the honor guard of the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Department to retire the colors. Thank you all very much.
I left my program up there. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I've done that step. Yeah, it was fantastic. So I did it for 3 years, and then I moved to Florida. And I am back. But that's what I'm doing this. But yes, I fully.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Hey, nice meeting you.
Thank you. Absolutely. She's never here, right? So I'll thank you. Amazing.
Shame on you.
Well,
And I grew up
Rick
in the
is
village.
a-
Shame on you.
I was gone for 8 years, but now I'm back.
But there's a lot of history in there. Just the architecture.
Yeah.
Everything means something.
that'd be fantastic. Yeah, please do. So when I came on here, one of my things I started looking at the names we have in there, and nobody's listed by their votes or anything because they moved around a lot. They all have their names, but we haven't been able to figure out exactly how they decided when the Navy was supposed to be there. I was like, the cutter service we're on the Great Lakes. There had to be some of these guys that were in the cutter service. So I started doing research into that. And the very beginning of the war was crazy because it happened as the boats were being dried off. So everybody had been let go to go home. So a lot of those guys re-enlisted in their local infantry and things like that. But we did have all of the boats on the Great Lakes went out toward the St. Lawrence Seaway, and they got most of them to the East Coast at the outbreak of the war. But there has to be more cutter service in there. So that's one of the things I really want to do research on.
You know what? I'm gonna reach out to a guy, Dr. Story in the Coast Guard. I'll put him on.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Love that. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, can I say hello real quick?
Hi, Mike.
Mark Cassidy.
Hey, Mark.
I saw the thing on Facebook page, so I came over to work.
Well, thank you much.
Thank you for what you do.
Yeah. You tell the boss I'm still waiting for breakfast.
All right.
You tell Chris I said I'm tired of hanging out at the dine bar in Clifton by myself.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
You tell him. So, thanks.
Oh, good.
No, just thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm trying to send you out.
All right. Well, thanks for keeping him off the streets.
Oh, yeah. He's going to retire before I do. I'll tell you
Oh,
that.
there you go.
Yeah, he's been in since he graduated. 2 weeks later, he was in the Army.
Good. Good for him.
Yeah. I had one of my best friends growing up ended up going to the Coast Guard. Yeah.
Who's that?
Chris Finkus.
Okay.
He's a Cleveland kid. Ended up down in Florida, though. I always say it's not once in a while. You know, he comes back home, but like one of my best buddies, I'm like, he never came back.
Well, some of us that were able to get back, Cleveland's the place you cry when you get orders here.
Yeah.
You cry when you get orders to leave.
Yeah.
And some of us retired here, so we didn't leave.
Oh, he ended up loving it. Maybe he became a fireman down there.
Oh, yeah.
He's loving it. But I want to say thank you.
Well,
Nice
pleasure.
service.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for your son's service as well. Thank you. All right, Greg, take care.
Thanks.
How are you, sir?
Champion certificate for the
Right here.
Let's try. Walk back.
Do you want to have it present? Or do you want me to have it over here? We'll present it? Sure.
Mark? Okay, nice to meet you.